Hello, folks. This is InkDependence.com. I am Mike, and today we have Noodler's Alamo's Twilight. This is one of the specialty inks done for Dromgooles in Houston, Texas. The Alamo's Twilight there. This is, of course, a Noodler's ink, so you get an interesting bottle here. This is the 1 ounce bottle. It's the third size. The other one's kind of a specialty ink, but you get this nice illustration of Alamo stuff going down. As a native Texan, I kind of had to have this one. There's the Dromgoole's information. This is done specially for them. They may or may not have it. I know it's done in small batches. But Dromgoole's, if you're anywhere near Houston, Texas, or passing through, check this out. It's in Rice Village. It's a really good store. They don't have a whole lot of an online presence, although their website is getting more shoppy, so you might be able to go to it's like squarespace.dromgooles.com or some such thing. You can Google it up, and that'll fix it for you. But anyway, this is an ink that I thought was going to be red. You see there has a little red dot on the top, but let me tell you what, this is not a red ink. It is not even close. As you can see here, it's kind of a reddish brown. This is one that my mom picked up for me like last Christmas before last. I don't know. I've done most of these, but I just never did this one for some reason. All right, so here's the inside of the cap. Not a whole lot sticking to the inside of this cap. It's not a very viscous ink. It's kind of a little bit watery-ish. But definitely saturated, so you can see a little bit there, but even inside the cap, not red. So this ink was not what I expected. Oh, there's on my finger. That's kind of looks like. Yeah, it's just kind of this kind of brownish. Anyway, this is not what I expected, but I do still like it. I contacted them and asked them if they knew if the rest of it was red or if it's a bum batch or whatever, but I guess they didn't have any at the time. I kind of forget. It's like a year ago or something I actually started using this. Since that time, this ink has kind of lived in a couple of pens. Mostly it's lived in this Plaisir right here. Kind of a big fan of this pen. These are like the Platinums, the little Platinum, they call them Preppies. It's the same nib and feed and everything in there. In fact, I have a couple of Preppies I just keep around and keep the the nibs. I can change them out in this one. So cartridge converter pen, you have to get the Platinum converter, so I just never have. I just keep refilling cartridges. But very good pen. It's a kind of a nice aluminum upgrade to the really fragile Preppy. Anyway, so there you go. Oh, this is a Preppy. I've got one handy, so I'll go ahead and show it. Why not? There you go. There's a Preppy. These are, I don't know, a couple of bucks or something. You can find them at various places. Jet Pens, maybe. Anderson Pens definitely has them. I'm not sure exactly who else, but you find them every once in a while. But they're darn good little pens. They're just fragile. All right, so back to the ink. This one is, as I've said, kind of a rich, nutty brown. It's a bit of a reddish brown. It's definitely more red when it gets on the page than it is when it dries. Maybe I can do a little scribble right quick. If I can uncap this pen. This is the other thing it's been living in, is this big Panther 40. This is one they've just started making at Franklin Christoph. Alright, let's get some light on here. And you can see it's definitely a bit more red than it is when it dries. Yeah, no, it's still pretty dark. It's kind of a dark reddish brown. Anyway, so that's the color. I don't know about being Twilight. It's not really a Twilight-y color, I don't think, but, whatever. That's what it is. So if you're getting that, expect kind of a brown, not really a red. All right. So here it is and a bunch of other things. I tried it out on the Franklin Christoph music nib. The reason it looks kind of weird is because I was trying to write in this very small space. And look at that. That's my finger right there. We're kind of zoomed in a little bit. But this is a 1.9 inch stub. If you've never used their music nib, it's a fantastic nib. It ain't for writing small, so there's kind of a problem. The other one's a broad stub. That's what I was using here, which is a great nib. The broad stub and the broad italic are both Mac Masuyama nibs, and they're both great. So anyway, there you go. The flow on this one is slightly wet, as you saw. I didn't stick to the cap or whatever, so that's going to make it, you can generally tell it's going to make it a little bit wetter, because it's not very viscous. The surface tension is real low. Anyway, so bleed and feather and spread, yeah, it kind of does all those things, which is, that's the bad news. So here it is, here on this paper. And you can see here, this is a 20-pound Staples copy paper, and there you can see clearly a lot of feathers. So even with the Platinum nib, which is a .03, man, still pretty feathery. And then you flip it over, there's quite a lot of bleed through there. So, I mean, it's not the most egregious bleed through, but it does bleed through. So if you're going to use this, either prepare yourself for some bleed through or use good paper. Those are kind of the options. But otherwise, it's really good ink. Like I said, I've been using it for like a year or something just in that one Plaisir. And it's always ready to go. I don't have any hard starts. I haven't had any problems like that. So the bad copy paper performance aside, it's a darn good ink. I really enjoy it. All right. So let's see. Here it is next to a bunch of other browns. Sorry it's a little bit dim in here. I'm having to use artificial lights because it's been rainy for the last I don't know, week here in North Carolina, which is fine. My garden needed it. But you can definitely tell the difference between this one and some of the other browns that I've got here. Of course, Twilight up at the top. You can definitely tell it's more brown than the Franklin Christoph ink right underneath it. I've just gotten samples of all 6 of the new Franklin Christoph inks, so I'll be giving those reviews here in the next, I don't know, probably week after next. I'll get started on those. This next week, I've got Mont Blancs coming up, some limited edition Mont Blancs. So I've got Pink, and I've got JFK, and I've got Daniel Defoe, and I've got Pelican Edelstein, which will be coming up soon as well, but which is the Amethyst ink of the year. So those are all kind of limited editions. That's probably going to be next week. Right now, look at all these browns. Look at them all. Quaco Sepia is there. And that's actually kind of a nice brown. I really like the sepia. I'll be doing that one actually very soon. Here's a review for that one. You'll see that in the very near future. Maybe I'll have that up tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But there you go. So, and of course, the Franklin Christoph Dark Chocolate, which is the other of their brown. They actually have 2 browns in this new set, which is great with me. I love browns. But that dark chocolate it does look like dark chocolate, like when you get the Hershey's Special Dark or something. And then Cacao de Brazil, which is barely a brown. It's kind of like a gray brown. It's weird, but I like it a lot. And so anyway, there you go. And then orange just for some color. All right, so let's see how this does with water. Give it a little bit of, I don't have the needle on this thing, so it's going to be a little bit more water than usual. So I'm very careful. No, that's okay. Yeah, there we go. All right. Okay, you can see some of the brown already swirling away. We actually can see some of the red swirling out of the brown. That's an interesting effect. Yeah, a little bit of red there. Not too much, actually. Not bad. Let's see if we can lead some of this water around. Get some more on the subject here. There we go. All right, so definitely going to be some things coming off, but I don't know how much. Let's see what's going on here. Blot it away, like one should, and voila, not bad. Actually, a lot of water resistance. Some of it came up, but actually not a whole lot. So hey, good job. That's yeah, there we go. All right, yeah, a whole lot left behind. So this one, yeah, fairly water resistant, really. That's kind of a surprise. All right, it shouldn't really be too much of a surprise. The chromatography. This is this space for chromatography. There we go, and there it is. So this is a whole lot left behind. It's kind of it's very interesting chromatography actually. The only one that's cooler that I have up right now is Quaco Sepia, which has got a lot more colors in it. But this one's got like brown and gray and like some little bits of yellow up here, maybe a little bit of violet kind of in the middle. Definitely this looks a little purplish, but this is a very interesting, if anything, this looks like Alamo's Twilight. The chromatography does much more than the ink. This is just a brown gel pen, so don't look at that. But yeah, interesting chromatography, but a lot of it left behind, so this should have probably clued me in if I had looked at this just a second ago as to what's going on here. So yeah, actually a fair amount of water resistance. There you go. All right, so this has been Alamo's Twilight. Here's a little bottle. Come on, focus. Focus factor. No? Yeah, it does not want to. All right, good enough. There we go. There you go. Alamo's Twilight. Go ahead and check this out at dromgooles.com or whatever their address happens to be now. You know, if you like this sort of reddish brown stuff, pick yourself up a bottle. It's darn good ink, and I've used actually quite a lot of it. You can see it's sloshing against the back there, but these, as always, are filled up to the top of the bottles, so I've used quite a lot of this ink. Big fan of this stuff, anyway. I think it goes for like $12.50 for these little bottles too. So these small bottles usually cost the same as the big bottles, which makes it 3 times as expensive per mil. But you know, whatever. It's still darn good ink. It takes me a long time to go through even an ounce of ink. I don't really go through a lot because I do so many different inks. All right. So there you go. That's Alamo's Twilight. This is Ink Dependence. I am Mike. Check out patreon.com/inkdependence to find out how to help support the blog. And as always, I am super thankful to my patrons. Thanks very much, guys and gals. And see you around. Peace out.